Thank you, Madam President. It's quite amazing that a 18-line legislative bill has evoked such thought and emotion and relevance. And it really shows that it's not about the volume, it's about the focus and the intent of what this bill does. And so it's interesting because we as lawmakers in the circle make laws because there is a community need. There is a significant initiative that is impacting our constituents, and we as their representatives are doing the work of addressing those needs. And I want to thank the good chair of Public Safety, as well as the ranking member, Senator of Public Safety, Senator Gaston and Senator Ciccarella, for their ability to understand the importance of this issue, but balance it with an 18-line legislation that is thoughtful, balanced, and truly addresses the issue. Now, when we talk about need in our community, what we're talking about is illegal roadway traffic activity. Now, this 18-line defines some of the vehicles and impact, but through you, some questions to the proponent of this bill. Madam President.
Please proceed.
Thank you very much. To the good chair of the Public Safety and Security Committee, what does illegal roadway traffic activity entail? Is it defined by cars? Is it defined by a illegal activity on the roadways? Is it by a defiant display and holding up traffic? Through you, Madam President, what does illegal roadway traffic activity as defined by this statute mean?
Senator Gaston.
Through you, Madam President, I would venture to give you a textbook definition. It is the process through which an individual or groups of individuals are engaging in illegal activity by way of blocking intersections, speeding, showing off stunts like drifting, donuts, ghost riding. Ghost riding essentially is where an individual jumps off of either an ATV, a motorcycle, or a moving vehicle and are close by that vehicle and they jump back inside of the car, which is a very dangerous piece of activity. And usually what happens is you have individuals who are spectators who are standing in the way of the intersection or on the side of the road, beckoning these cars to go through and encouraging the illegal activity.
Thank you. Senator Hwang.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate the good chair's example, and it is, but I just wanted to emphasize one of the key words that keeps coming back to me on this illegal roadway activity is an organized initiative and effort to conduct these kind of activities. Could the good chair of the committee elaborate further the emphasis on organized? And the reason I say that is there are collective gatherings of groups. We've seen initiatives of dances and flash mobs and short-term takeover of creative displays and demonstrations. But what we're saying through here is illegal roadway activities that are in a organized manner. So through you, Madam President, could the good chair elaborate further the very important definition of an organized pathway to illegal roadway activity?
Senator Gaston.
Through you, Madam President. So the organized effort of this basically signifies that it is a concerted activity whereby these groups of individuals are aware of these kind of illegal activities taking place from city to city, town to town. What this task force is going to have the ability to do is to identify who those folks are and to begin to address it and to enforce it and to hold these individuals accountable.
Senator Hwang.
Thank you, and I greatly appreciate the legislative intent that was shared by the good chair of the Public Safety and Security Committee. So through you, a follow-up question along that same theme is reiterating and for legislative intent, the powers of this task force. Is it an enforcement power? Does it have law enforcement authority to ensure protection and enforcement of the law? Or is it, to be sure, not simply a work group or a study? So again, through you, Madam President, the legislative intent of ensuring that this is a law enforcement task force to combat illegal roadway traffic activity in an organized manner, but it does have enforcement powers. Through you, Madam President.
Senator Gaston.
Through you, I do believe this task force is going to address a multitude of issues, also coming up with some creative solutions, recommendations, in conjunction with having enforcement power and real teeth to enforce the law that's on the book in the state of Connecticut. And so this is not just a working group. This is going to be a group that's going to be holding individuals accountable with the spirit and intent to go after those who are engaging in illegal roadway activity, to include organized groups of individuals engaging in this kind of illegal roadway activity across our state.
Senator Hwang.
Thank you very much. And I thank the good chair for reiterating the legislative intent of the enforcement powers of this task force. Now, when we're looking at the enforcement powers, you're going to have people who challenge that when we're looking to differentiate between the illegal roadway traffic enforcement of an organized effort, as we articulated earlier, versus the concern about First Amendment protection of freedom of speech. Could the very good chair articulate, and that's why I went to the word organized and the impact. Through you, Madam President, could the good chair elaborate further the differentiation and the concern of this circle and our legislative efforts to ensure protection of free speech and the First Amendment rights, but also to ensure public safety of these organized illegal road raid activities? Could the very good chair elaborate and for legislative intent give reassurances that we are very conscious of First Amendment rights, but nevertheless, this is a organized protection against illegal roadway activities? Through you, Madam President.
Senator Gaston.
Through you, Madam President, I think by virtue of the title, illegal roadway activity would presuppose that individuals are engaging in something that is illegal and that's also against what our current laws allow. So they would already be engaging in illegal activity, and we're just simply enforcing that. So when an individual is engaged in illegal roadway activity, that means that they are, again, blocking our intersections, they are speeding, they are doing off-road stunts, they are perhaps riding on ATVs in between traffic, they are disrupting a funeral procession by driving in and out of traffic. They are a danger and a threat on our roadways, and those are the kinds of individuals that our law enforcement community will be tackling. So with respect to the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, individuals who are standing or loitering on empty lots where perhaps there are no loitering signs in parking lots, they are already in violation of a local ordinance or in violation of the law, and law enforcement community will only be enforcing that. If you are obstructing a intersection and you're not peacefully assembling, but you are furthering illegal activity by either filming this and putting it on social media, and you are encouraging other individuals and other groups of individuals to continue to engage in illegal activity, I would think that that's not something that would impinge upon a person's First Amendment right, and that officers would have the ability to go after those individuals who are in furtherance of breaking the law.
Senator Hwang.
Thank you, and I'm so appreciative of the good chair's articulation in the differentiation of our law and respecting First Amendment protections, which are critical to our Constitution and our rights. And I wholly agree with his differentiation. And what we're talking about here is illegal roadway activity that is in some forms intimidating, it's defiant of our laws and traffic laws and of our law enforcement and the broader community. It also encumbers and encroaches on public safety, as the examples that were cited by many of our colleagues in the circle and the colleagues before us in this legislative body from the city of Hartford who articulated this issue many, many years before. And in fact, the city of Hartford has initiated on their own their concern in regards to illegal roadway activities. And I believe that is why we've adopted the Greater Hartford Region Task Force. But through you, Madam President, it is not just for Hartford, is it? What is the parameter? Is there a geographical boundary, or is it a volunteer participation of surrounding communities that could go as far west as Bristol, as far south as New Britain, as far east as Manchester, and as north as Windsor? So through you, Madam President, for legislative intent, there is no geographic boundary. Even though this title is a Greater Hartford Region, there are no limits in the type of communities that could elect and opt in to participate in joining and assigning officers to this task force, because there are many communities that have expressed interest in being able to participate and benefit from this task force. Through you, Madam President.
Senator Gaston.
Through you, you are right in terms of your synopsis. I do believe that although it's called the Hartford Regional Task Force, that the intent is for individuals, police departments within that region to collaborate and to corral their resources together to be effective in addressing this concern. But it also is stated in the bill that federal, state, and local law enforcement may be called upon to assist in some of the investigations of this illegal roadway activity, which would presumably encompass other departments that's outside of that particular region of Hartford. So you're absolutely right.
Senator Hwang.
Thank you, Madam President. And for us as representatives of the respective districts in our communities, may I also ask and inquire that should the city of Bridgeport and the town of Fairfield and Westport and all the way down to Stamford and Greenwich, should they choose to want to participate and opt in, that it is a resource as this task force gets formed, they may participate in this task force for the benefit of their community. Through you, Madam President.
Senator Gaston.
Through you, I believe that is the intent of this bill, is to start it in Hartford area, and for those departments that are voluntarily entering into this kind of agreement is going to help to show us how effective they are, and I believe they will be successful by teaming together these resources, and I think it could be a model for the state. And if places like Bridgeport and Fairfield want to opt into this later on, I believe that this is going to be something that will be beneficial to all of our communities, with Fairfield County having 837 square miles and 625 square miles of actual land itself. I would assume that it's going to encompass Westport, Stamford, and whatever makes up Fairfield County, and hopefully they would join together.
Senator Hwang.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, I want to thank the good chair of Public Safety and Security for articulating the legislative intent and the possibilities of this bill. I wanted to refer back to comments in a circle by Senator Kissel in regards to really kind of exploring why this potential increase in these occurrences, why we are at this stage compelled to undertake a task force to address this issue. And I think some of the components of it was articulated earlier by the good chair and many of the other speakers, is the sense of a street takeover, a disruption of activities that are legal in our traffic laws. But also, I think one of the recent phenomenons that we've tried to tackle in this circle is in regards to the organized manner in which social media has targeted and organized such gatherings with a focused intent for disruption. And I think that is those are two elements that are compelling in this type of a gathering that has raised significant concern. And we talked about the difference between protection of First Amendment versus illegal roadway activity. I think the accentuation of organizing and the takeover of our streetways and social media focus to incite and gather a collective group of people to go to certain spots at such fast time is something that is significantly different than what we've had in the past. I think the other factor is our current society has differed. I think there may have been colleagues that talked about when they were in their younger days that having a race in the roads when they were in the late of night and the thrill of youth. But nevertheless, what we have also seen is even media, mass media, our communications entertainment that is kind of proliferating and accentuating the excitement and the remarkable, rush of adrenaline. When we think the Fast series, Fast 10 is a movie that is topping the box office right now. It is a movie and a series of movies that focuses it on Roadway, accelerating, dangerous, and accentuating adrenaline-pumping roadway theatrics. It's not real. But unfortunately, in our current entertainment and mass media, in various ways, through social media, through our movie screens, through our TVs, we are seeing this kind of thrill-seeking, adrenaline-pumping, dangerous driving activity. So when we talk about a true need to have this bill to be able to protect our public safety and to rail in these illegal activities that might have existed in the long past, but I think it has exploded into our current scene and has encouraged some potentially dangerous behavior. So I really rise in asking these questions with legislative intent and understanding that despite 18 lines of a legislation, so much thought went into it to ensure that rights are protected, but an issue is addressed and not looked and say, our hands are up, we can't do anything about it. We are doing the job as a legislative body. So I want to commend the good chair and the ranking and the committee members who articulated this. One last point, if I may, through you, Madam President. It is about the fiscal note. In this language of the bill, it is within appropriations. I know the good chair articulated earlier that the fiscal note is denoted by our Office of Fiscal Analysis, looked at about $130,000 in regards to staff personnel. But as I understand it in this language, it is within appropriations. Therefore, if it is not allocated in the budget and there are no funds for it, there is not a fiscal mandate on this. Through you, Madam President.
Senator Gaston.
Through you, that is my understanding.
Thank you.
Senator Hwang.
Thank you. And another part of the fiscal note is that for local participating towns that want to be able to engage and participate, that run as far west as I repeated over in the great city of Bristol, and their ability to combat issue, the city of Glastonbury, and even further south to our districts in Fairfield and Bridgeport. If those towns want to participate in this task force, that their local municipality should also make considerations. As I understand from the legislative intent and what may be offered in this bill, it's not written, but if those towns choose to want to do it, these funds will come from the local municipality should they want to participate. Is that correct through you, Madam President?
Senator Gaston.
Through you, that is my understanding. Those local towns and municipalities will put forward resources, and I would assume that they would put together collective resources so they can have the greatest yield and the greatest impact in terms of working in tandem together to address precisely this issue of illegal roadway activity.
Senator Hwang.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the good chair's offering of the legislative intent because it is important. It is not a mandate on our municipalities, nor is it a fiscal mandate of our state budget. But within available appropriations, and to me, as a proponent and supporter of this bill, I strongly encourage that we do allocate the funds to fund this task force. But another important point is it is an opt-in for our municipalities. Should they want to participate and engage and utilize the resources and some of the creative aspects of enforcement that this task force would entail. It is up to the towns to allocate funding, and it is not a municipal unfunded mandate to them. So it's clear, it's amazing, again, in 18 lines, we were able to kind of balance an important goal of us legislative intent, but also to be considerate of all the various components that we're entailing here. So again, tremendous credit to the good chair and ranking members of the Public Safety and Security Committee, and also to the chair and ranking member of the House that participated in this. So I urge support of this, and I want to thank the good chair and the ranking member for their efforts on this. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Senator Gaston, will you remark for